That's bad.
Alright, it is Monday. We just can't get rid of those. Seems like there's one every week, huh? But I've been getting some pretty good work done on all three of these cars at least. So we'll start with the Fiero. Started working on the brakes for that thing. I was going to make a video about that, and then ran into a few issues where now I've got to find new calipers for the back of it, and probably for the front of it too. But that ended up getting put on hold, so while I'm trying to find some parts for this, I decided to work on these two. Now the Cobra here, hopefully this looks a lot better because I cleaned up this fender a bunch. I repainted the front bumper and the fender over there, and Pops came over and he helped me sand a bunch of the other spots. I'm going to try to get away without repainting the whole car and see if I can just touch up the spots that it needs it. I think on camera it'll probably look great. Looking in the lens here, it looks really good. So I don't care if it's a show paint job, but I would like it to look pretty decent on camera. That's kind of my goal for it. This fender cleaned up pretty good. The top of it's almost like it has overspray or something. I just need to wet sand both fenders. And probably the bumper too. I've got some orange peel in the bumper and the fender, but it's not a huge deal to me, honestly. So on this door, I'm going to tape off from this body line up and paint that and try to blend that little section there. Then there's a small section on the corner of the roof right there that I need to paint, and then this side's pretty much good to go. Oh, I got the Cobra badge for the front. I think it looks pretty good, man. And then here you can see this side. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it on camera, but this fender has a bunch of orange peel in it that I need to wet sand out. Or maybe I'll just ignore it. I haven't really decided yet. I think it'll be pretty obvious once the rest of the car's kind of cleaned up that that's all nice and smooth, and then this is very orange peely. But in general, I think just painting the fender and the bumper look tremendously better. And then on this side, I'm going to paint or tape off from the top of that like black sticker, which I'll be honest, I hated it at first. But it's been really growing on me. I actually like it a lot now. So I'll probably tape off from the top of that and paint up on the door. And then we got a little bit back there and a little bit on the rear quarter here. Just a small spot on the trunk. And then I did get the fender badges here and the Cobra little deal there. I think it'll look nice. And then I messaged a tint place last night about having the tint fixed on this thing, because every Mustang I've ever had, and this is like number 6 I think, has had just like the worst bubbly tint on the back window. I need to get that redone, the quarter windows, and then I'll have the door windows done too. And then I think this thing will be looking pretty darn sharp. And then I just need to do pretty much every other single thing mechanically to it, and then we'll be good to go. I really do need to touch almost every aspect of this car once I get it looking pretty decent. Find or make a transmission mount, have a drive shaft made, calipers for the front brakes. I need to run all the brake lines, hook up the brake pedal, shocks for the back, probably just get strange single adjustables, same ones I had on the RX-7. I don't think this radiator is gonna work. Probably end up getting like a F-body radiator for it. Just a bunch of stuff. Fuel pump, fuel lines, everything. Like the car, it looks from here like it's really close, but it is nowhere near close at all. To the point where I've actually been debating on just putting the power glide and the shifter out of the RX-7 in it, just because those are ready to go. And then I don't have to go through this 4L80, wait for a shifter to show up, all that stuff. As much as I don't think the power glide would be great in this, I think it would do fine. But anyway, I just wanted to show off that this car looks a lot better now. And then we've got the red Camaro here. This thing is pretty much ready for them to come pick it up. Hopefully, knock on wood, they're going to come pick it up today and get it the heck out of my life. But yeah, so if you remember when this thing was dropped off, I had basically 3 things to do to it. Build a turbo kit, make this tubular core support, and get it to fire up. And obviously got the turbo kit all knocked out. Got the hot side coming in here, cold side coming up. That's nice and solid even without these 2 clamps, which really surprised me. The dump that they dropped off worked perfect. I don't think there's any reason to mess with that. Even lined up for the O2 sensor, which is amazing. And then I got the oil feed line made. That turned out great. The oil drain coming to a, let's see if you guys can see it, a scavenge pump there, which the scavenge pump is below the turbo, so that's all nice. And I got the blow-off valve welded on here. That turned out pretty good. The map sensor was kind of a pain in the butt on this thing, to be honest, because they wanted a, or they have, excuse me, a like one of the Holley stainless steel type screw-in ones. Like it's a normal pressure sensor instead of like a normal map sensor. So on the belly of this intake, there's I think 4 threaded ports. Like there's one that is half in or quarter NPT, and then the rest are 1/8. I could be wrong. Anyway, the body of this sensor was so big that I couldn't screw it in next to the other ports because I didn't have like a plug that would sink flush into the intake. So I'm doing all this, reaching my hand under the grundle and trying to figure it out, trying desperately not to pull the intake off. Finally figured out a solution for that, which was to take like a push connect fitting like this, but a straight one, screw that in there, and then have a small piece of this line come down to a block that I have the map pressure sensor in, and that seems to work out great. A little bit of ingenuity coming in there, or laziness. You could say it's laziness for not wanting to pull the intake off, but can you blame me not wanting to pull an intake on an F-body? And then got the radiator mounted. That turned out great. And then I got the lines for the boost controller all ran. You wanted to put a manual boost controller on it for simplicity for right now, so I got it mounted right here where it's real easy to get to. Nice short lines for quick reference. That should work really well. The thing I like about manual boost controllers on a street, like a bare junk surface, is they tend, in my experience, to have a pretty slow ramp. I think that'll actually work in his favor a lot. Here you can see the tubular deal I whipped up. I think it turned out pretty decent. I was hoping to get away with actually just bending these, but I could not get it to bend tight enough. Like it would have to start the bend way out here, you know, and that wouldn't really work around the radiator. It wanted to come through here. Either that or it would just crush the tube. So instead of wasting any more material, I ended up just slash cutting these, and I think it turned out pretty decent. I think it fits the contour of the front end nice, keeps everything nice and sturdy. The radiator mount turned out awesome, and turbo support also awesome. And then I was able to fix a few things on it to actually get the car to fire up. After messing with it for a while the other day, it seemed like it wasn't getting any fuel, and we did end up finding out what the issue was for that that night. But I ended up spraying some starting fluid in the intake, hit the switch, rolled it over, fired up on like the first or second crank, and obviously it didn't run for very long off the starting fluid, but it fired up, sounded good. Yeah, so did a little bit more investigating. Turns out, simple mistake, the fuel lines on the regulator were backwards, so it just wasn't allowing the fuel to get through, which, again, easy fix. They're going to bring up the fittings today to reroute them, because this regulator has 8 AN feeds and a 6 AN outlet. So we can't just swap the fittings. We need different sizes. We need a 10 AN to an 8 AN for the feed, and a 8 AN to a 6 AN for the return. They'll have those here shortly, well, shortly this evening, and then we can actually fire this thing up and hopefully drive it on their trailer, as long as everything else is good. But yeah, there was just you know, a few stupid little issues that were preventing it from firing up. Aside from that, just dumb little things that are easy to overlook. But once they get it back and get everything finished up, this thing should be a ripper. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of go over a few things. The only things they have left to do are you radiator hoses, fill it back up with coolant, play with the tune a little bit, and then just lots and lots of seat time. Which, to be honest, I think seat time is more important than anything else. Seat time and testing. Just test as much as you can. I think seat time and testing is hugely undervalued by way too many people. But anyway, we're trying to keep this lighthearted. So back to this. I think this thing turned out really good. When it was first dropped off and I was thinking to myself, what did I get myself into? This is going to be a nightmare. I was really regretting it. But I think it actually turned out really nice. There's only one thing I'm not thrilled with about it, and I'm not going to point it out. Quick update on jack. We have an anti-roll bar ordered for that. That should be here in a few days, and then we'll probably bring the truck over here, and I'll get that mounted up on the truck. I think we went with a Rhodes anti-roll bar, and it was rated, I mean, I'll go into more of the details once it shows up, but we've got that ordered. We've got head gaskets ordered, and we're thinking about throwing some ARP head bolts on it. Thinking about the studs, but to get the heads off with the motor staying in the truck, we'd have to pull all the studs out anyway, so it's like at that point, why not just put the bolts on it? So that's kind of the quick update on jack. Hopefully here in the next couple days that anti-roll bar will show up, and I can get that thing welded together and on it, and then we can do some more testing. So that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and hitting that bell, getting the notifications. If you guys need anything from Snake Eater Performance, use code SNYDERTRON for 10% off. If you guys need anything from Shipbox Supply, use code SNYDERTRON for 5% off your order. If you guys need anything from Circle D, use code SNYDER3000 for 10% off your order. Hopefully that'll help some of you guys get your builds back together. I'll see you in the next one.